Power BI desktop. Okay. So there is a data pen, right? So nothing is there. So we need to import the tables from the backend source. So we can use the get data option, or here also we have an option that to connect to the backend source file. So I'm connected to the backend source, orders e-commerce. I'm choosing these particular tables, what tables you want to import, and click on the load option. Okay, this table is now imported, which contains the list of columns in that. Okay, so I'm just taking the particular visualizations to create that. So we have different options are there. So let me take particular visualization. For example, I'm taking the pie chart. Okay, let me add some columns in that. I'm dragging the category column and taking the sales column. At the time of doing the practice from your side, you can take other columns also for practicing purpose. But I'm taking the category wise sales now. Okay, it's showing the technology wise sales and furniture wise sales and office supplies wise sales. Okay, we are getting the data. If you want to apply the filter on this, what are the different options we have? Anybody? If you want to apply the filter on this, what is filter? What is filter? Anybody?
It
What
can
is
select the records only. We can see in that.
okay? Based on the what values you are choosing as a filter, the related data only showing the report, right? For example, if you select any value as a filter, it's showing the related data for the selected value, right? For example, this is showing the technology sales and furniture sales and office supply sales. But if you apply the filter on the technology, I can see only technology information. Okay, I don't see the other information because we have chosen the technology. If you apply the filter on the furniture, the report showing only furniture data. There is an option to select the multiple values also, which means that if you choose the technology and furniture both values as a filter, now report showing only the technology and furniture. So based on the value selection, it's showing the related data only, right? Are you getting?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, so previously we have seen the different options under the filters pane, like filters on this visual, filters on this page, and filters on all pages option to apply the filters in different areas. But now today we are going to learn about the slicer. We are going to learn about the slicer. What is slicer? The slicer is a user selection filter. Okay, slicer is user selection filter.
Selection.
We are going to provide the user with the options. User can able to select what values he wants to apply the filter. So the user is having the option to select the values as a filter. Based on the selection by the user, the report showing the related data. Okay, we are providing the user to make some selections from the user side. So to create a slicer is nothing but a dynamic filter. Slicer is nothing but a dynamic filter. So we are providing to the user to select the particular value selection from the slicer. Let's see how to create that. In the same page itself, on the top of this visualization, we can create the, one second. Hello, hello, yes, చెప్పండి. ఇప్పుడు ఉంది ఈ టైంకి. అదే నేను ఒకసారి కనుక్కొని చెప్తాను. గివ్ మీ 5 minutes. అవునవును, అవును, కరెక్ట్. పాజిబుల్ అయితే ఒకసారి నేను కనుక్కొని ఇప్పుడే కాల్ చేస్తాను. ఓకే, థ్యాంక్ యూ. Okay. So let's create this slicer now. I'm going to create the slicer. Okay, this is the slicer. We want to create the slicer with a particular column. Okay, I'm adding some columns in that. Let me add the column inside the slicer. Okay, so I'm taking the category column into the slicer, dragging the category column into the slicer. This is the one way we can add the column inside the slicer. This is the one way. What is the other way is just to select the slicer and we can use the checkbox option. If you select the checkbox option for the category, so that column come to the slicer. This is the second way we can add the column into the slicer. And what is the third option? We can add this column to this slicer is we need to select this slicer and drag this category column into the fields area. Okay, drag the category column to the fields area. Like that, we can create the slicer by taking the columns in different ways. Are you getting? So it's showing the list of values from this category values. It's showing the list of values. The below one is showing the technology by sales, furniture by sales, and office supply sales because we didn't select any values as a filter. Now I'm going to select the particular values. I want to increasing the particular value size in the slicer. Select the slicer and go to the formatting. There is a values option. I'm going to increasing the value size. Okay, to make it bigger. Now I'm selecting the technology. Now the report is also showing the technology data. It's not showing the remaining data. If we choose office supplies, it is showing only the office supplies data. If we choose furniture from the slicer, report visualization also showing the furniture data. So like that we can select the particular values to apply as a filter in the visualization. Are you getting? Any questions on this?
No, sir. No, sir.
Yes.
Okay, if you want to select multiple values, what you do is we need to press the control button from the keyboard. Okay, we can select the control button from the keyboard. We can choose multiple values like this. Now we have selected the furniture and office supplies two values. A report visualization also showing the office supplies and furniture. If we choose the furniture and technology, if we choose furniture and technology by pressing the control button, we can choose multiple selections. Your report visualization showing the furniture data and technology data. Are you getting?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In this particular slicer, this is the slicer, we have different slicer settings are there. Let's see what are the different slicer settings we have. Okay. To do that formatting for the slicer settings, okay, go to the formatting. Here you can find the slicer settings. There are different types of styles we have. This is the called as vertical list. It's showing all the values in a vertical format. We can choose what values you want to apply the filter in the vertical list. There is other options also. Let's see. There is a tile option also. Okay. If you select the tile option, so we can find all the values in a tab control. We can find the different tabs. One second. Lakshmi, ఇది పైథాన్కి ఒక అబ్బాయి క్లాస్ ఎన్నింటికి ఉంటుందని కాల్ చేశాడు. ప్రధాన్తో ఎవరో పేరు ఒకసారి కాల్ చంద్రకి. Okay, this is the tile option. Okay, it is showing all the values in a tabs control. Okay, based on the tab selection, okay, it's showing the related data. For example, if you selected the technology, the report showing only technology data. Okay, if you select the office supplies, now we can see only the office supplies data. If we choose the furniture, now report showing only furniture data. I can choose multiple selections also by pressing the control button. So I can select the multiple values also by pressing the control button. So this is the tile option. We can find all the values with the tabs buttons. Okay, if you go for the other option like drop down, this is the third option. If you click on the drop down, we can find the drop down option. So once you click on this drop down, we can find the list of values in that. We can apply the selections based on that. Your visualization showing the related data. So what are the different slicer settings we have? Vertical list, tile, and drop down, right? So what are the different options you can find? Vertical list, tile,
and drop down.
Okay. So do you have any questions on this? Anybody? Any questions?
No, sir.
No, sir.
So let me show you now how the other people are doing the mistakes here. Okay. So what column we have taken into the slicer? Which field we have taken into the slicer?
Category.
Category, right? Okay. We need to take the particular category column to apply the filter, right? So somebody do the mistakes like in the same slicer itself, it's not a visualization. It's not the visualization. It is just a filter. So you can apply the what column you want to take it to apply the filter. But somebody do the mistakes like in the same slicer, they will add the sales also. They are dragging the sales also into this slicer. Somebody do the mistakes like this. Okay, so don't add the like this. If you open that particular slicer values, we can see that one arrow mark. If you expand that, we can find the sales information like different sales values. We can find that. Okay, because we have taken the two columns in that. What are the two columns you have taken in the slicer? One is the category and second one is the sales. So don't add like this. Don't add the measure columns into the slicer like this. I will let you know that how to take the multiple columns in the slicer in tomorrow class. I will let you know that. If it possible, I am going to cover that also. To take the multiple columns into the same slicer, not like this. Don't add the measure columns in the same slicer like this. It's not meaningful. Are you getting? So somebody do the mistakes like this. Okay? Don't add the measure columns like sales, quantity, profit, price, discount. These are the measure columns. Don't add them into the same slicer as a second column. Are you getting? Okay. So let me add the one more column. I'm deleting the category column from this. Otherwise, let me go for the second page. Here I'm taking the year by sales. I'm taking the year by sales. I've taken the column chart. I'm taking the year by sales. So let me take the year by sales. So where do you find that year column? Do you find any year column anywhere? Do you find any year column anywhere?
No, sir.
Okay, but so here under the date columns, we can expand the date column. We can find the hierarchy related columns like year, quarter, month, day. We can find the levels of granularity, the levels of hierarchy in the date column by default. So no need to recreate that, no need to create that. Automatically we can find the levels of hierarchy in the date column. We need to expand that. We can find the year information, quarter information, month information, and so on by default. If you want to take the year column from this, so take the year column into the visualization and take the sales column. Now this report showing the year by sales. So in 2014, it's showing that 14 sales, and this is the 15 sales, this is the 16 sales, this is the 17 sales. Are you getting? So this is the x-axis. In x-axis, you can find the year values. On y-axis, you can find the sales values, right? So in x-axis, we can find the year values, and y-axis, you can find the sales values. I want to increasing the x-axis values. What do I do?
We have to go to
I
format and
increasing
x-axis. We have to
the
increase the size.
Okay, go to the format, go to the x-axis and increasing the x-axis values. Increasing the x-axis values like this. Okay. Now I want to apply the filter on the year column. What I do? I want to take the slicer with the year column. How to do that? Anybody?
First, we have to take the slicer.
Create the
Then
slicer.
here we have to,
Take the slicer, then
Here we have to drop and down the.
there is a checkbox also, we can select it to add this column inside the slicer, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now tell me, here is a dimension or measure?
Here is a dimension, sir.
The dimension or measure?
Dimension.
Here is the dimension only, right?
Dimensions.
The dimension only, right? Not the measure, right?
Yes, sir.
Here is a dimension, not the measure.
Measure.
Okay. So when you take the year column, it's not a measure, it's a dimension only. What are the values there? In the year column, what are the values you can find?
2014, 15, 16, 17.
They are number value or character value?
Numbers value.
They are number value only, right? Even though column is a dimension, if it contains any number values in that, we can find different options now. Let's see. In the same slicer, in slicer settings, previously we have seen that some options like vertical list, tile, and drop down, right? These are three options we have seen for the category, right? The previous page in the slicer, previous page, we have taken the category, right? So category is a dimension, right? Category is a dimension, right? Category is a dimensional measure.
Yeah.
Dimension.
Dimension, sir.
So what are the values it is having? Character values or number values?
Number value.
Character values.
Character values like technology, okay, furniture and office supplies, character values, right?
Yes, sir.
If the column is having character values in the slicer settings, what are the different options I can see?
Between tile and drop down.
No between. The character values, we don't find any between.
Oh, sorry, sir. Vertical list.
Vertical list, tile and drop down, right?
Yes, sir.
Now we are taking the year dimension in the second slicer. In the second page, we have taken the slicer. Here we have taken the year column, right?
Yes,
It is
sir.
a dimension, but what are the values it is having?
Number.
Number. So if it is a column is a number type, we can find three more extra options in the slicer settings. What are they?
Yes, sir. Between greater than or equal to, less than or equal to.
Are you getting? So this is the vertical list. It is showing all the values in a vertical format. And the second one is the tile. So we can see that all the values as a tab control. Okay, we can find them as a tabs like this, buttons, types. This is the tile option. What is the next option? Drop down. So once you select this one, it will show the list of values in a drop down. We can select that values. We can apply the filter. What are the other options you can find? If the column is in number type, between nothing but from and to. We can select the from value and to value. Based on that range we have provided, it's showing the related values. Are you getting clear about this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So what about the next options? Less than or equal to? Less than or equal to? For example, I'm taking the less than or equal to. If I'm taking the 2015, okay, if we pass this value, we can see the 14 and 15, right? Less than or equal to. Below that, below 15. 15 and below 15. Okay? This is the option we have it. Less than or equal to. What about greater than or equal to? Greater than or equal to. That value and above. Okay? That value and above. So for example, I'm choosing the 2016, and that value and above that. So 16 and 17. Are you getting?
Yes, sir.
Any questions, anybody on this?
No, sir.
Okay. Now let's see. In slicer settings, we have seen all the options, right? So we have the slicer header. We have the slicer header. In slicer header, here is showing the year, right? What is this one? It's a slicer header. It is a slicer header. Okay. If you want to increasing the slicer header, if you want to increasing the slicer header, yes, it is possible to increasing the slicer header. If you want to change the slicer header, yes, we can change the slicer header. So there is a different options we have. If you want to provide the particular color to the slicer header, yes, it is possible to provide the color to the slicer header also. If you want to provide the border for the slicer, we can provide the border for the slicer also. Okay, so we can provide the border for the slicer also. Okay, like that we can provide the borders for the slicers, the slicer headers. Okay, like that we have different options in that. So this is the clear option. If you want to clear that filter, we can clear that filter also. Okay. And there is a slider. There is a slider. So this is the slider, right? This is called a slider. Okay, this is the slider. Okay, this slider color also, if you want to change that slider color also, we can change the slider color also. This is the slider. Like that we can change the color for the slider. Are you getting? Any questions? Any questions on this? Shall we go next?
No, sir.
Okay, you're clear about this, right? Jayashree, any questions?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Vineet? Vineet, are you able to understand?
Okay, sir, clear.
Narendra? Narendra, any questions? Sainath?
No, sir.
Okay then. Okay. So let's have the multiple slicers now. Let's have the multiple slicers now. Let's see. Okay. For example, we are creating the different pie charts. Like I'm taking the year by sales. I'm taking the year by sales. I'm taking the year by sales. Okay. And second pie chart, I'm taking the quarter by sales. I'm taking the quarter by sales. Quarter by sales. So we are taking the one more pie chart, month by sales. We're taking the month by sales. Okay. Okay, this is the month by sales. And this is the quarter by sales. This is the quarter by sales. This is the year by sales. Okay. How many visualizations we have created? How many visualizations we have created?
3.
What are they?
Year, quarter, and month.
Okay, year by sales,
Quarter
month
by
by sales, and month by sales, right? In same page itself, we have created the 3 visualizations side by side, right? We have created the 3 visualizations side by side, okay, in same page itself. So on the top of these visualizations, we are creating the 3 slicers. One slicer for the year, second slicer for the quarter, and third slicer for the month. Shall we? So let me know. So I'm taking the first slicer. I'm taking the first slicer. Which column I can take in this slicer? Year column. I'm taking the year column. Okay. What about the second slicer? I'm taking the second slicer and quarter. Okay. I'm taking the third slicer. Okay. On the month. Are you getting? We have the year, quarter, and month, right? 3 slicers on the top, and below we can see the 3 visualizations: year-wise sales, quarter-wise sales, and month-wise sales, right? Are you clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if you want to convert this instead of the between, if you want to convert this, what I do? If you want to convert as the tile, or if you want to convert as the vertical list, how to do that?
Go to format and slicer settings.
Okay, go to the format and change the slicer settings.
Style.
Okay, we can change the different options, right? Okay, now let me increasing the value size for the each slicer. I'm increasing the value size. Let's see to make it bigger. Okay, now. So we didn't select any year, we didn't select any quarter, and we didn't select any month. The month is showing the all the 12 months. It's showing all the 12 months information. Here also in this visualization you can see the year wise sales like 14 sales, 15 sales, 16 sales, and all the year sales it is showing. It is showing the each quarter by sales like quarter 1 sales, quarter 2 sales, quarter 3 sales, and quarter 4 sales. This is showing the all the months data like January month, February month, March month, and April month, and so on. Now tell me, this quarter 1 sales showing the 3596, right? This quarter for the only one particular year selected quarter information, or all years quarter information. This quarter 1 data which is showing here only for showing the only one particular year, or all years quarter 1 information.
Only 1 year.
No, we didn't select any particular year, right, as a filter. Have you selected any year? It's showing the 14, it's showing the 15, it's showing the 16, and showing the 17, right? All years, right? This quarter 1 sales 3596 showing the all years quarter 1 sales. All years. For every year, we can find the quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4, right? For every year, you can find the January, February, and so on, right? This quarter 1 sales, which is showing here, for not only single year selected quarter 1 sales, because we didn't select any year as a filter. It's showing the all the years quarter 1 sales. All years quarter 1 all years quarter 1 sales. Is it correct or wrong?
Correct, sir.
ఇక్కడ మనకి చూపిస్తున్న క్వార్టర్ 1 సేల్స్ అన్ని ఇయర్స్ కి కలుపుకొని చూపించిన క్వార్టర్ 1 సేల్సా, లేకపోతే ఏదైనా పర్టికులర్ ఇయర్ క్వార్టర్ 1 సేల్సా?
All years, sir.
Total year, sir.
ఎనీ ఫిల్టర్ కదా. Okay, same way for January, February, March, it's showing the all years January sales. This is showing the all years February sales. This is showing the all the years March sales. Okay, now let's see. Now I'm going to select the particular 15. Which year I'm selecting? 15. Okay, now is it applying the filter right here? Is it showing only 15 sales?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What about this quarter 1? Is it applied
It is
here?
also changed. Yes, sir.
It is changed, right? Previously it was like 3569 something. Now this quarter 1 sales only showing the data for the selected year. Quarter 1 sales
Yes.
for the only.
Selection year.
What about the January? It is also changed, right?
Yes, sir.
Even the year column is not here. What columns you have taken this visualization?
2015.
No, what columns you have taken? Quarter and sales.
Only quarter. Yes, sir.
Take the year here. What columns you have taken this visualization?
Month and sales.
The year, right? So even though the column is not present here, that year column, even though the column year not present here, and the year column is not present here, the filter is passing or not?
Yes, sir.
So if there any related columns are there, automatically filter will work because Power BI is highly interactive.
Yes, sir.
Even the columns are not present in the visualization, the related columns, if you apply any filter on the any related columns, automatically filter will be passed to the other columns also, which are related columns. Clear? No. So for example, I'm selecting the quarter one. I'm selecting before selecting these quarters, this month filter, this month slicer, how many months it's showing?
12 months.
12 months. And this visualization also showing the 12 months data. Now I'm selecting the quarter one. I'm selecting the quarter one. Now tell me, this one showing the only quarter one sales or remaining quarters also?
Only quarter one, sir.
Because you have chosen this filter, right? What about this month? This month showing the January month and February month and March month. These 3 months are coming under the quarter one, right?
Yes, sir.
So is it showing all the months information or only selected quarter one related months only?
Only select.
Only selected quarter one related months only, right?
Yes, sir.
What about this? What about this slicer? It is also showing the only the 3 months which are related to the quarter one only.
Yes, sir.
Not all 3 months, right?
Yes, sir.
Now in this also, if you want to pass the filter, instead of showing the January, February month, if you want to see the only February month, yes, I can see the only February month. So now you are able to pass the multiple filters to the visualizations or not? Are able to? We can pass the year values, we can pass the quarter values, we can pass the month values also. This one showing the year by sales, this one showing the quarter one sales, this one showing the month by sales. Are able to pass the multiple slices to all the visualizations or not? Any questions? Anybody on this? Are you clear about this?
Yes, sir.
So instead of taking the multiple slices for the multiple columns, because year is first level and quarter is the next level and month is the next level, that is the hierarchy we have it. The first level is the year, next level is the quarter and next level is the month. If there is a hierarchy for this all the columns, to maintain that, instead of taking the separate slices for that, all the columns we can keep it in a single slicer itself to maintain the hierarchy. What do you understand? Now we have taken the one slicer for the year and one slicer for the quarter and one slicer for the month, right?
Yes, sir.
Instead of taking the 3 slices for the 3 columns, so if we find that the 3 columns are related to that, instead of maintaining the 3 separate slicers, we can keep all the columns into the single slicer itself. For that, what I am doing is, let me clear the selections. Let me clear the selections. I don't want to apply the filters. I am clearing the selections. Let me clear the selection also. So now I am going to clear. I cleared all the selections by using the clear option. So let me delete the quarter slicer and let me delete the month slicer also. Okay, let me delete the month slicer also. Now we have the single slicer, that is the year wise. The same slicer itself, I want to add the quarter information and month information also, which means that we are taking the multiple columns into the single slicer like this. So for example, I'm taking the quarter also, I'm taking the month also. Okay, we have taken the 3 columns now in the single slicer. So in this kind of situations, we can take the multiple columns into the single slicer. Now the slicer having the year information quarter information and month information also. Let's see how to do that. It's showing that one arrow mark, the down arrow mark, we can expand that. We can see that next level's information. For example, if we expand the 2015, I can see the what are the quarters come under the 15, the Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. If we expand the Q2, I can see the what are the months are coming in the quarter 2. Okay. If you apply the filter on the April, now we can see that this is the 2015 Y sales, this is the quarter 2 sales, this is the April sales. Now it is passing all the values to all the visualizations based on the April selection. Are you getting? If I select the May also, so both values, now I can see the April and May sales. Ardhamotunda andarki? We can take the multiple columns like this in the single slicer to maintain the hierarchy slicer. Instead of taking the separate slicer for the each column. ఇందాక మీకు చెప్పాను, don't take the measure columns into the slicer like this అని చెప్పాను కదా. Don't add the, already if you have one column there, and don't take the measure column to the same slicer అని చెప్పాను కదా. But we can take the multiple dimensions like this కదా. We can take the multiple dimensions like year dimension, quarter dimension and month dimensions like this to maintain the hierarchy slicer in this way, right? ఎవరికైనా డౌట్స్ ఉన్నాయా? ఎనీబడి? అర్థమైంది ఇది?
Yes, sir.
ఓకే. Saina, Jayashree, Narendra, Vinith, any doubts?
No, sir.
Clear కదా? Okay. So the slicer we have the different options are there. Let's see. Okay. In slicer we have the different options like selections. We can choose the different options are there like multi-select with the control. So to choose the multiple selections, we need to press the control button. Then only you can able to select the multiple values. We need to press the control button from the keyboard. I don't want to press the control button. So what I do to make the multiple selections, we need to press the control button in the keyboard. I don't want to use the control button from the keyboard to select the multiple values. So what you do is, there is a multi-select with the control. We need to disable that. So no need to press the control button now from the keyboard to choose the multiple selections. I'm not pressing any control button from the keyboard. I want to select the multiple values, just choose the multiple selections like this, because we disable the option like multi-select with control option. If you enable this one, if you want to select the multiple values now, we need to press the control button from the keyboard, then only we can choose multiple selections. If you disable this, so no need to press the control button to choose the multiple selections. We can choose the multiple selection without pressing the control button from the keyboard. అర్థమైందా? So we have the other options like single selection. So instead of choosing the multiple selections, I want to select the only single value at a time. Okay, I want to select the single value at a time. Okay, so I can choose the single selection. Okay, I can choose the single selection. So at a time I want to select the single value only. Okay, I don't want to select the multiple values. Okay, I can choose only single selection. If I choose single selection, at a time I can choose the single value only. I don't select the multiple values. It's not possible for me to choose multiple selections. At a time I can choose only single value. Okay, this is the option we have it. Okay, single selection. If you make it as enable, if you make it as a disable the single selection, now we are able to select the multiple values also. I can choose multiple selections now, because I don't use the single selection option. Now to choose all the values from this one. Okay, there is a option show select all. If you make it enable this one, we can find one option on the top of this one. If we select this one, all values will be selected. Okay, we can choose this option to make the all selections at a time. There is a show select all to choose the multiple selections at a time, to choose all values. So we have the three options: single selection, multi-select the control and show select all option. So if you make that, if you disable this one, we don't find the select all option on the top. If you make it enable, we can find the select all option on the top. If you select this one, all values will be selected at a time. Out of this all values, if you don't want particular single value, we can disable this also. If you don't want to choose that. Out of selected all values, we can disable that. What values you don't apply. Like this. Remaining all values will be selected. Okay, the slicer, sir? Anybody?
Yes, sir.
Any questions?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So clear, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we are going to discuss about the sync slicer. We are going to discuss about the sync slicer. So let me take the new report. Okay. What is sync slicer? Let me show you. Sync slicer. Okay. Let me take this one. New page. So under the data pane, we don't find any tables and columns. Now I'm going to import the new tables and columns. Let me connect to the backend source and let me pull that particular table. I'm selecting the orders table and click on the load option. The table come to the now Power BI under the data pane. Okay, I want to create the multiple pages. Okay, I'm creating the multiple pages like this. Okay, we have the page 1 and page 2 and page 3. In page 2, I'm creating the particular visualization. We can take any visualization. Let me take the pie chart. Let me maximize that. Okay, I'm taking some columns in that, like category wise sales. I'm taking the category wise sales in the page 2. I'm taking the category wise sales. Okay, let me add the category column also. This is the category sales. Let me add the page 3. Here I'm taking the donut chart or some other chart. I'm taking the column wise. I'm taking the column chart. Here I'm taking that categorized profit. I'm taking the categorized profit. I'm taking the categorized profit. Okay, this is the categorized profit. And page 2 we have the pie chart with the categorized sales. In first page I'm going to make it as a renaming as a landing page. I'm taking the first page as landing page. Landing page.
Yes.
Okay, or we can make it as slicer page.
Yes.
Okay, in page 2 we have the one visualization. Okay,
Yes.
with the category by sales. In page 3 we have the one visualization with the category wise profit. In the landing page I want to create the slicer. Landing page I want to create the slicer. Okay, so I'm taking the slicer. Okay, I'm taking the slicer in the landing page. I'm taking the category column in the slicer. Let me increasing the value size. I'm increasing the value size for the particular slicer now. Out of these 3 pages, right? Landing page and page 2 and page 3, where do we have this slicer?
Landing page.
On the landing page we have the slicer, right?
Yes.
Do you have the slicer in the page 2?
No, sir.
Do you have the slicer on the page 3?
No, sir.
Jayshree? Page 2, page 3 లో మనకి స్లైసర్ అని ఉందా? జయశ్రీ?
Yes, sir. Sir?
పేజ్ 2, పేజ్ 3 లో మనకి స్లైసర్ ఏమైనా ఉందా?
No, sir.
ఓకే, స్లైసర్ ఎక్కడ ఉంది మనకి?
Loading page.
ల్యాండింగ్ పేజ్ లో ఉంది. ఓకేనా? ఎక్కడ ఉంది?
Landing.
ల్యాండింగ్ పేజ్ లో ఉంది.
Landing page.
నా రిక్వైర్మెంట్ ఏంటంటే, if I choose any slicer settings here, if I choose any slicer value, I want to pass it to the page 2 because it's not passing. It's showing the technology sales, furniture sales and office supply sales. If you go for the page 3, I can see the technology sales, furniture sales and office supply sales. So what are the value we have selected from the landing page, whether it is passing or not? Is it passing to the other pages?
Yes, sir.
In the landing page, what are the selections we are doing? The filter is passing to the page 2 and page 3 or not passing?
Not passing.
Not passing.
Yes.
Okay, landing page, ఏ వాల్యూ మీద మీరు సెలెక్ట్ చేశారు ఫిల్టర్? టెక్నాలజీ.
Technology.
What about page 2? Is it showing only technology data, remaining data also?
No, remaining data.
Remaining.
All the data. Okay, what about page 3? It's showing all the data. Not only technology. అంటే దాని మీనింగ్ ఈ ల్యాండింగ్ పేజ్ లో క్రియేట్ చేసిన స్లైసర్ సెట్టింగ్స్ యొక్క వాల్యూ దీనికి పాస్ అయినట్ట పాస్ కానట్ట?
కాలేదు.
Pass కాలేదు. Okay, so I don't want to create the slicer in this page. I don't want to create the slicer in these pages. What are slicer is available in a particular page? What are the selections I'm doing here? Those selections will be passing to the next pages. Okay, I want to do like that. I want to do like that. Previously, we have done by using the filters on this page, and filters on all pages option, right? That is the filters, not the slicer. Previously, we have seen that filters on all pages, right? If you apply any filter here, that is passing to all the pages, right?
Yeah.
That is filters option, not the slicer option.
Slicer.
Both are filters only. Slicer and filter both are filters only. But this is the static one. The slicer is the dynamic one. Okay, which means that if you select any slicer settings here, if you choose any slicer value, that should pass to the page 2 and page 3. What I do? So we need to use the sync slicer option. What is the option?
Sync slicer option.
To pass the selected values from one page to other page, we can use the sync slicer option. How to get the sync slicer option? Let's see. So to get the sync slicer, we need to select the slicer first. We need to select the slicer first. We need to select the slicer first. Then go to the view menu. Then go to the view menu. First we need to select the slicer. Remember that. Then go to the view menu. There you can find the option called as sync slicer. What is the option we have? Sync slicer. Okay. We have the two options. We can see the landing page. We can find the page 2. We can find the page 3. These are the page names. Landing page, page 2 and page 3. Here also we can find them, the pages names. But here we can find the two options. One is the refresh and second one is the display. The same slicer I want to display in the page 2 and page 3 also. We can go for the second option. To display the same slicer in other pages also, we can go for the second option to display the same slicer. Otherwise, if you want to affect the slicer settings values to the other pages, we can go for the first option to affect that, to pass that, to pass the selected values from this page to other pages, we can go for the first option itself. But whereas the second option, to display the same slicer values to the other pages, to display the same slicer. But I don't want to display the slicers in other pages. I want to pass the selected values from this page to other pages now. For that, select the slicer and choose for the first landing page, we need to choose the two options.
Yes.
Where you can find the slicer, that page should have the two options, mandatory. Keep these two options.
Yes.
The remaining pages, if you want to pass the filters, not the display, we can use first option.
Yes.
We can pass the selected values, not for displaying. Okay. Now what value you have selected from the landing page?
Office supplies.
Office supplies. Now we can go for the page 2, whether this filter is applied or not. Let's see. It's showing the office supplies only. Now tell me if the filter is passing or not.
Passing.
What about page 3? You can see only office supplies, right?
Yes, sir.
So filters are passing based on that option. What is the option we have it? Sync slicer, the first option. That's check boxes for the page 2 and page 3. Now I'm choosing the furniture and technology. Now I'm choosing the furniture and technology. Both values, the landing page. Now if you go for the page 2, whether this we can find this passing the values or not? Passing the values or not?
Passing. Sir.
What about page 3?
Page 3 also pass.
These values also pass.
Yes, sir.
These values also passing. Are you getting it now? Based on this selection, the values are passing to the other pages or not?
Yes, sir.
How it is possible? By using,
Slice.
by using the string slicers.
Sing
For
slice.
example, if we don't pass the page to, what I do? I don't want to pass the page to. Uncheck that. Now, if you select the office supplies now, if you want to pass the office supplies values, okay, go to the page two. Go to the page two. Is it passing now?
No.
No. What you selected?
Office.
Let me clear this
Office
first. Okay. Let me clear this. Okay. 1 second now. So previous selections. Let me clear that. Okay. Now the office supplies. The technology office supplies passing to the page two now. Okay. Let me clear this one. Let me clear this. Okay. I'm clearing this. In page two, I can see all the values. In page 3, I can see all the values, right? Now come to the landing page. Okay. Now come to the landing page. I'm unchecking the page 2. Unchecking the page 2. Now if you choose the office supplies now, if you go for the page 2, is it passing now?
No, sir.
No,
If you
sir.
go for the page 3 is passing. Why? Why it's not passing to the page 2?
I'm checking, sir.
We have unchecked, right? We have unchecked this option.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So if you want to display the same slicer also, okay, we can use the second option. If you go for this option, you can find the slicer information also. We can find the slicer information in the second page, displaying the slicer also. Okay, in third page also you can see the slicer. It's getting displayed in the slicer also. If you want to display, we have this option, second option to display that. Otherwise, if we don't want to display that, we can hide it.
Yes, sir.
అర్థమవుతుంది అందరికి?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, any questions on the slicer options and the sync slicer options? Vinith, Jayashree, Sainath, Narendra,
No, sir.
or
No, sir.
Okay, sir.
okay, then do practice and come tomorrow. Okay, and we can continue with the other topics. Please do practice. Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir.